Hi, I'm João Lima, editor of Data Economy, and this is Frontline. Continuing our series of global CEOs of the data center industry, today I'm speaking to Bill Stein, CEO of Digital Realty. Bill, thanks a lot for talking to me and taking the time for talking to us as well.
Thank you.
You run the largest data center square footage in the world footprint in the world. And your market capitalization is $26.4 billion at the moment, so the second largest in the US. Where do you want to go from here?
Well, we'll continue to grow. We'll continue to grow both organically and inorganically. We have quite a few opportunities in the U.S. We're by far and away the largest participant in the market in Northern Virginia, in the Chicago market, for example. But we're also very strong here in EMEA, in London. We've just opened up this fantastic data center here in Frankfurt, and we're strong as well in Asia.
Okay, but your expansion outside the US, it's not very recent, but the explosion in expansions has been very recent. So you're expanding your footprint very recently in Europe by a large amount by acquiring another company. You're expanding a lot in Asia. Can you give an overview of the general regions just around the world where you're operating now?
Sure. You're right. When we IPO'd, we had an asset in London, but more recently we launched in Frankfurt. We also are completing a new data center in Amsterdam. We have a very significant presence in London as well as Dublin. In Asia, our Asia Pac headquarters is in Singapore. We also have a presence in Australia, a campus in Sydney as well as Melbourne. We've got a data center in Hong Kong. We've got a very relatively new project, but successful project in Osaka. And we recently announced a joint venture in Japan with Mitsubishi for both the Osaka and Tokyo markets.
Which is a very interesting one, and then we'll go there after. But then, for example, you had a blockbuster M&A this year, DuPont Fabros, $7.1 billion. How's the deal coming along? Have you integrated the company now? What are employees doing? Can you just guide us through the acquisition and the outcome of the acquisition?
Sure. I initiated discussions with the CEO of DuPont Fabros in early March. We announced the transaction in June. It was a stock-for-stock transaction.
So did it happen between March and June this year? Was it that quick?
Right.
Okay.
And then we closed it. We closed it in September, if I recall. So I think the integration is going quite well. We kept all but a few of the employees that we wanted to keep. It's a relatively straightforward deal in terms of integration. Most of the leases are triple net. There aren't nearly as many customers as we had with an acquisition like the Equicity portfolio here in Europe or Telex in the US. And it also allowed us to expand into the hyperscale product set, and DuPont was very strong there with a number of the major cloud players.
Okay, but then when we look for the Mitsubishi deal, that kind of sort of remind us more of the edge computing sort of environment, so going for smaller regions, smaller markets within the country to serve the customers closer to the source of data. And then you mentioned hyperscalers as well. Where is the balance at Digital Realty between hyperscalers and edge computing? So are you going to start going for smaller markets as well?
Well, when I think of the Mitsubishi JV, there are advantages both ways. We have relationships with the North American cloud providers that Mitsubishi didn't have, but Mitsubishi is very strong in the enterprise market in Japan, having played in that market for as long as they have. And so that allows us to bring the enterprise customer onto our campuses in Japan. And so we have three primary verticals that we're targeting today: the global cloud players, enterprise players, which tend to be more local, and then the networks.
So how much is the global cloud players represented in terms of business? How important are they as a customer compared to, for example, enterprise?
Well, they're very important, and it's a very high percentage compared to enterprise and network. But I see the cloud providers as a magnet, if you will, for the enterprise, as well as the network players.
Would you say that once you grab one of them, the business almost sells itself?
I think that the model that we believe will become prevalent is the hybrid cloud model. So an enterprise customer will want to connect to multiple clouds as well as have its own data center. And so by having multiple clouds on our campuses, that is a definite advantage in terms of attracting enterprise customers.
Okay, and then as we speak about you being really active in North America, you're quite active in Europe, you're expanding massively in Asia over the next decade as well. What about the markets that we're not talking about? So Africa, South America, what's your view of the markets there?
They're interesting, and we certainly are looking at them. There's nothing immediately in hand.
Okay, and then we're at the end of 2017. If you look back at this year, the last 12 months, have you achieved what you wanted? Did 2017 deliver what you expected?
Well, you never achieve exactly what you want. I think certainly financially the results are we're pleased with our financial results. We're going to end up at the high end of our consensus. We closed on an acquisition that was not necessarily in the plan December 2016.
That's March to June, so that was very quick.
Correct. We made good progress, I think, on integrating the two prior acquisitions. I think we could have made more progress on sales, to be candid, and that'll be a point of renewed emphasis in 2018, lease signings.
So are you going to employ more people on sales teams, or are you just going to train them to do something different?
Well, we have more employees on the sales team that are coming off ramp, if you will. So we'll be full quota bearing, and I think that'll help. And we are, I think we have more inventory than we had this time last year. And we've improved some of our internal processes to make it easier for our customers to do business with us.
Okay, and then you mentioned slightly what's going to happen next year, but what can we expect in the bigger picture from Digital Realty next year in terms of acquisitions? Or can we expect another blockbuster like this year?
I can't tell you that today, but I couldn't have told you about DuPont this time last year either.
Okay, so, okay, that's fine. Okay, Bill, thanks a lot for talking to me. Don't forget you can follow Data Economy on Twitter, Facebook and LinkedIn, and also visit the website on www.data-economy.com.